Okay, let's talk about condo living in Seattle in this video. You might have thought that condos were great or maybe not. I don't know what you've heard, but in this video, I want to set it straight as far as what the condo lifestyle is like here and some of the pros and cons of moving forward with a condominium. Thanks so much for joining my channel, by the way. I'm glad that you're here. My name is Emily Cressy. I'm a local real estate agent. And so this channel is for people who are relocating to the Seattle area and trying to do their homework in advance. Maybe you live here and you stumbled across this video since we are talking about condominiums today, but a lot of folks are joining the channel and subscribing because they want to know more about relocating, kind of choosing the different neighborhoods, the home buying process, what these little terms and towns even mean, like Snohomish and Snoqualmie and Sammamish and Still-Guamish and all of these different things. We go into a lot of obscurities, a few inanities, some fun stories here in the channel. So if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. The Google gods will look down on me with favor if you do so. And if you like what I say, if you have any questions, if you hate me and want to tell me my nose is ugly, whatever the case might be, go ahead and write those comments in the chat as well. That helps me out. And I like to kind of understand where you are thinking, what your questions are. I was going to say where your head is at, but that's bad grammar. So I didn't say where your head is at. I would like to know what you're thinking so I can make sure that this channel stays relevant and helpful to my visitors. So with no further ado, let's dive into the topic for today, which is condominiums. Now, I've lived in Seattle almost all of my life. I don't know what the vibe is on condos in different towns, but here in Seattle, they are an essential part of the home ownership structure, ladder, pyramid. A lot of people tell me that they don't like HOA, or they don't like to live in a condo, they don't want to buy a condo because of HOA fees. This is like the biggest objection that I get to buying a condo. The other thing is, I don't want to have neighbors. I don't want to share a wall. I don't want to hear, creaking on other floors, or I don't like HOA rules. I don't like anyone telling me what to do. So the high density element is kind of the thing that gets people, in addition to having the HOA fees to pay. So we're going to talk about that and whether or not it's worth it. So just to give you a little bit of background on condominiums in general, first of all, we're talking broadly here about the greater Seattle area. I'm not limiting this conversation just to Seattle proper. So we might be talking about condos in Everett, condos in Bellevue, condos down south, whatever it is. We can talk about these general principles, but if you have specific questions, let me know. I would say the entry-level price point for condominiums in this area is maybe $200,000 if you're looking for something small, a studio, a one-bedroom, something like that. It's going to be more in the $200 to $300 range for an affordable economy two-bedroom, and then for like a middle price point condo for a family or a larger group of people, $300,000 to $500,000. And from there, we go into the more luxury lifestyle type of condos where you're paying for a premium location, maybe like a downtown Seattle or downtown Bellevue location. You're paying for a building with special amenities, maybe a view of the water, swimming pools, elevators, those types of things. So we can easily see condos go above $500,000. I've seen penthouse condos in Bellevue that were selling for $2 million. I've seen, 11th story, two-bedroom condos in downtown Seattle selling for $1 million. New construction condos in Seattle selling for $1.7 million. So, and studio condos in a new building in Seattle selling for $500,000. So just to give you an idea, I mean, we can find you something that's a one-bedroom that's, up in Everett for $200,000 to $300,000 and on up from there. That's one thing as far as pricing and the price band. It's not inherently like looked down on. It's not necessarily cheap to live in a condo. And a lot of people choose or prefer to live in a condominium in order to get a better location, for example, closer into the city so they have a shorter commute, or to get some sort of a community. For example, my mom's secretary at work is a single lady. She lives by herself. she often, is desirous of knowing her neighbors and having people to kind of keep an eye on each other, and not a lot of people, it gets very dark here at night, especially if you're off in the country and it's getting dark at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the winter. You don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere, like, hoo hoo, owls and coyotes in the bushes, like the bushes across the street from my house in Lake Forest Park. That can be kind of scary. So a lot of times people in that situation who don't want to be scared will look into condominiums as well. There's kind of a security aspect of being closer to people. Here, I want to point out that there's the idea of a townhouse condominium. So when we say condominium, that's kind of a legal structure that is recorded on the deed of the land as this homeowners association, and it's a legal construct. And then the type of building that might be a condominium could be like an apartment, a multi-story apartment type of building. It could be a townhouse where the homes are side by side. Like, they tend to be narrow. Oftentimes in the city of Seattle, you'll see 3- and 4-story tall townhouses, and there might be 20 or something in a development of just like 2 or 3 housing lots, and they'll put these together with a garage on the bottom, and then 3 or 4 stories of, I call it, vertical living. And this is the direction that a lot of builders and developers have been forced to go, because there's just so much impetus from the city to go high density. That's what they reward, that's what they zone for, and you can get a lot more money typically out of having 20 houses in a lot rather than just 1 or 2. So a lot of older homes are getting scraped, and then this new construction will be vertical, especially if it's nearby to something like the new light rail stops. That's also incentivizing and rewarding higher density building. So if you're in that kind of $700,000 to $1 million price point in the city of Seattle, you might be looking at a vertical townhouse. And a lot of these have a condominium homeowners association associated with it, so that there's some enforcement of the rules. My sister lives in a connected building. Think of it as a duplex. There are 2 independent townhouses, and there's no homeowners association, but there are rules that are deeded to the land as far as how they can landscape the yard, how they can paint, how they have to maintain things. But if her neighbor decided to paint the side of her house pink one day, what is my sister going to do to enforce that? So they used to be building a lot of these 0 lot line townhouses with no HOA, and that was a big concern. Like, what if your neighbor wants to replace the roof and siding and you don't want to pay for that? Or what if they want to paint it a different color and you don't agree? So having that HOA as a neutral arbiter of some of these rules can sometimes be advantageous. Other things to look at with condos are financing. You might not have known that it can be difficult to finance certain condominiums, especially if you're using an FHA or a VA type of loan. These government-backed loan programs want certain documentation and rules to be followed at the condo, so that the government is protecting you and they're keeping you safe. And so if the condo is not signed up for these certification programs, they may not be financeable. Now, a friend of a friend, actually a lender's friend, is someone he told me about. He's like, I hate to say this because it's a difficult kind of edge case scenario, but she specializes in doing a spot approval for a condominium, and the process usually takes 6 weeks, which is so long that homes are often on and off the market in that time anyway. But if you say, hey, I want to buy this home, I want to use a VA loan, and the seller is willing to be patient, then we can pay this gal, and she will spend that time trying to get the condo certified to be VA approved for your loan.